Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Sharon Bown, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Commander Paul Mogger. We are honoured to acknowledge Admiral John Richardson, Chief Naval Operations, United States Navy, Vice Admiral Michael Noonan, Chief of Navy, Australia, and their accompanying delegation. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that continue to serve, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony live across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors and by students on behalf of the following schools. From Tasmania, St Peter Channel Primary School, Smithton, and from Victoria, Avondale Primary School, Avondale Heights. Would you please stand and join me in singing the Australian anthem? Boys and girls, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Lieutenant Colonel Edgar Maygar, VC, DSO. Edgar Maygar was born on the 27th of May, 1868, at Dean Station near Kilmore in Victoria. Known as Leslie, he was educated at Kilmore and Alexandra State Schools, and afterwards became a partner on the family property at Strathern Estate in Euroa. Keenly interested in horses and cavalry, Maygar joined the Victoria Mounted Rifles in March of 1891. He tried to enlist for active service in South Africa, but was initially kept at home by a decayed tooth. Maygar was eventually accepted into the 5th Contingent, arriving in South Africa with his unit in February of 1901. After joining a British column operating in Eastern Transvaal, he participated in various actions and throughout May and June and in August, transferred with the regiment to Natal to assist in operations against Boer commandos. During an engagement at Geelhoutboom on the 23rd of November, Maygar saw a group of men at risk of being outflanked and rode out to order them to retire. When one of the men's horses was shot from beneath him, Maygar gave him his own horse so he could gallop for cover while Maygar made his way back on foot. For his actions that day, Maygar was awarded the Victoria Cross. Back in Australia, Maygar carried on his commission into the 8th Light Horse Regiment and made captain in the 16th Indi Light Horse Regiment in July of 1912. He enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force as soon as the First World War broke out in 1914, lowering his age by 4 years in order to do so. He formed part of the advance party that established the Light Horse Camp at Broadmeadows and was made captain and posted as the commanding officer of B Squadron, 4th Light Horse Regiment. Sailing for Egypt in October 1914, Maygar took part in the fighting on Gallipoli the following year and was promoted to temporary lieutenant colonel and given command of the 8th Light Horse Regiment in October. Maygar was in command of the last party to withdraw from the trenches at Anzac Cove and deemed the evacuation a marvellous piece of military strategy, probably never equalled in all the annals of history. Maygar continued to command the 8th Light Horse Regiment in its campaign against the Ottoman Turks in Sinai and Palestine. He was awarded this Distinguished Service Order in June 1917 for his leadership during the attacks at Maghdaba and Rafah, and was twice mentioned in dispatches. On the 31st of October 1917, Australian Light Horse units took part in the famous charge on Ottoman positions at Beersheba, Palestine. That evening, Maygar received orders to retire his men to divisional headquarters. He had just returned to his column to do so when a German aircraft strafed them with machine guns and bombs. Maygar was hit. His arm was shattered and his horse bolted, carrying him into the darkness. He was later found, but had lost so much blood that he died in hospital the following morning. He was buried in the Beersheba War Cemetery. Edgar Maygar was revered by his men as a popular and capable commander. According to the official historian Henry Gullett, he had in every crisis stirred the spirit of his regiment by his example in the firing line. He was a true fighting commander. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Lieutenant Colonel Edgar Maygar, VC, DSO. who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. Please feel free to visit the poppy display in the grounds as you leave. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and we wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.